I do see that there is a little issue. Let me just fix that real quick. And there we go. Okay. Anyway, so here we are. We're starting again with the transmission. And let's go ahead. So I'll start his video so he can speak. And then hopefully you can hear me well enough also. I had complaints last time that there wasn't good enough sound. So he said good morning. So on this occasion, we are realizing the security meeting for the nation, as well as the conference, press conference. We have the purpose of dealing with the matter of insecurity and violence that worries the people every day from Monday to Friday, from 6 to 7 in the morning. And we meet in the Security Council. And today we are here in Valle Bravo. So we decided to do this conference here in Valle de Bravo in order to take into account the evaluation about what's happening with the state, which is very important state. It's fundamental of the Republic. It's the state with the most population in the country, 18 million inhabitants in the state of Mexico. And we're going to inform where it refers to security in Mexico. Also, we are going to inform regarding the same as every Monday over who's who in the prices of gas, fuel, diesel. It's a program that is very important, which permits us to maintain without elevation in prices of these combustibles. Not only due to the application of the law, of the normals, but due to the competition so we're making a movement to let people know the prices. So before I give the governor a chance to speak, I want to reiterate my sadness for those assassinations and the deaths of Mexicans and also United States citizens that on these acts that happened on the weekend in El Paso, Texas. As we all know, city of Juarez and El Paso are neighbors and their sister cities, such as our citizens that live and work in the U.S. and as also it is the people of the U.S. We always want to maintain friendly relations and respect and cooperation for development. And we are united by many ties, cultural, like a cohabiting of signs. So that's why we can't bet on being neighbors that are distant. We need to try to keep a good neighborhood. So you already probably found out that there was some loss of life. According to the last information I got, was 7 Mexicans are grave condition. Some are injured. And 7 also. And so we're also attending to the family members of the victims. Since the very first moment, the Secretary of Foreign Relations and the functionaries of Mexico and the U.S. have been acting. And yesterday, they took the position from our government regarding that by Secretary of Foreign Relations, Merced Ebrard. And today, the Secretary of Relations, Marcelo Ebrard, is going to go to City of Juarez in order to attend personally to this sad or lamentable process or situation. So we want to send a fraternal hug to the family of the victims. And we are going to be informing permanently the people of Mexico. And now we're going to give the mic to, if you don't mind, to the governor of the state of Mexico, Alfredo del Manzo. And then he's going to inform the Secretary of Defense, Sandoval. And then posteriorly, Ricardo Chasefield will give the report as to who's who in the prices of fuel. That's the program, the agenda that we're proposing. And at the end, we'll have the question and answer session. So now we're going to give him the opportunity to speak. Hello and very good day. So we want to give a cordial welcome to the people in the state of Mexico and the president and the people that are accompanying him. Security, defense, all these that are accompanying us today. And to appreciate that this reunion is being taken here in the state of Mexico, in Valle de Bravo. And I'll start with passing a few slides regarding the strategy and the advances in statistics related to the safety in Mexico and the coordinated work that is being done by the federal government to in conjunction with the municipalities, to stop delinquency and violence in their states. So the next slide, where we have the 8 areas of operations. First, we'll start with the mandates, one in Toluca and one in Minatecpec, and the capacity for so the numbers that you can see there, and they want to process the information and we have mapped this out by municipality, by street, and by type of crime in each different state. We have 610 suburbs. So we're doing it by street, time, um, area and time route. So public forces and safety are going to be going to establish the municipal and with an emphasis of daytimes and the most incidents or highest incidents. So we're doing this with prevention, and we focus on the theft for uh, uh, autos, extortion, homicides, kidnapping, and violations or rapes. So inspection, auto parts, vehicles, and we're emphasizing on the weekends to have presence and be patrolling in the special times where during the shifts that we have the most activity. So point number 7 is that we want to fortify communication with the people, conferences, coordination, and all these things. And also recovering public places for recovery of public places where they have the most areas of crime. And they're the ones that have the most problems in order to attend to these. So point number 8, we are looking at the job that is being done um, with a capacity for 13,500 of people that has an overpopulation, and we're also working on an advance towards opening new spaces with less saturation and permanent monitoring in these areas. And I believe they're talking about prisons. So we have mapped out each of the municipalities. Here's the municipality of Catepec. And so, for example, the month of March, we had 88% of this area. And you can see on the map how they're located with the areas of most and the areas of the most impact. And just as these areas are, okay, I'm trying to adjust the size, I'm sorry. So San Cristobal Center, so all the areas that they are stealing in the sections, all these things help us in order to identify which are the crimes, what are the times they occur, and dealing with that also to get the forces of safety in their place and able to focus on these crimes. We also have made some advances that I wanted to show you in the next graphic. And you can see something very important. The crimes of high impact, half of the impact, the crimes that are done have diminished. That is to say that before that we had 36%, and now we have 31%, the total of and now we can say that there is a contention of the growth. In the first graph, it shows the advance since the administration started as of January. You can see that in January to July, the advance the crime of high impact stealing of in transfer public transportation, and that's what the people most complain about, citizens do. And we have been able to see that there is a tendency in towards diminishing the growth, and you can see how from the to this date it's been growing, and it's been going on for about a month since July. But as of June to this time, we've noticed a diminishing of the tendency of theft of public transportation. So posteriorly, we can see a decrease, diminishing to auto thefts, where you can see 11% and the beginning of the beginning. And if we compare this period with the same period of last year, from say January to July, we can see a diminishing of 11% in thefts of vehicles, and when they do it with violence and without violence. And then we also have diminishing in three of those areas. So, homicide, there has been a diminishing, a 9%. As a, compared to the month of July, you can see a tendency towards a decrease, where it has to do with painful homicides. So I also want to show you the strategy of the actions that have been taken. We have 17 municipalities which have 89%, whereas the theft in public transportation. So first, we want to use technology by installing vigilant cameras and HPS, and there's going to be installed in the GPS, which is going to be installed or connected. These are, so far they've put 10,500 units are connected, and it permits them to respond immediately when there's an incident. And also, we've noticed that some of the transport vehicle operators, that when they see a delinquent enter, it's less probable that they will have a problem, because they notify a unit. So now there's several routes that have security with vigilance by audio visual, and they have coordinations to help the public transportation with the perspective of notifying the public, and they have a talk to try and prevent delinquents and to protect women, being making men conscious regarding women, because we're trying to attend and work on that the violence that many times was initiated, that was within the family and it's not even been notified. We want to prevent it, encouraging violence that is happening against women, that it happens a lot at home and they don't notify. So the federal forces in the state, they're taking the opportunity to say to the president that they're thankful for the presence of the National Guard and the Marines, where we have 32 regions that you can see on this map, where you can count on more than 3,500 units from the military, and some of them are from the National Guard. And as it advances, they will continue to increase the elements in the or units. So here we can see the coordination that we've had by the different areas, the federal and municipal. and also in the City of Mexico. So you can see that it's the first time that in many years they've done this coordination where it's in the Valley of Mexico. So 60% of the crimes that are committed in the state of Mexico are done in the areas of the municipalities in Mexico. So we're working with the city of Mexico. We're also trying to get personnel in the center of Mexico, and the president, the so they're trying to get the personnel that'll handle this in the centers and to continue to um, monitor for the persecution of or crimes and priority intelligence and operative in um, transportation, and it's permitted us to have a coordinated effort in the whole state of Mexico. And thanks to the coordination of the federal units, and we appreciate the support that this is the first time we've ever had this much help from federal government and municipal areas that'll give the most security to the people. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Um, so he wants the slides. On behalf of the federal forces, we can see the operative that we're using. There's more than 4,000 men, and 700 are doing security in a private way in certain areas. We also have 2,700 men that are doing functions of National Guard in the areas of the state. And there's 95 men that are attending to the security of Pemex and also the ducts and also the cisterns in order to have enough combustible or gas. So you can see the 7 elements that as of today will have the incrementation in the area of Bravo from the Armada. And you can see the National Guard. The National Guard in the 32 areas.
La Policía Estatal en 8 coordinaciones operativas en las que tiene distribuido su personal, tienen 16.600.
They have 1,600 people. So I would like to clarify regarding the Guard. We have a total of Sedena, the National Guard, a total of 3,379 that are in function in the doing these duties.
De la Secretaría de Marina, que estará, como ya mencioné, aquí en Valle de Bravo y en Iztapa de la Sal.
And they're also going to have the Marines.
Y adicional a esto,
and additionally to that, we can sum up the part of the federal police that is also initiating security functions for this total of 7,500 is the total in order to increase, as I mentioned. The National Guard is considered that the state will have 14,500 men, will be in a progressive manner, and we're in the process of recruiting. And as we coordinate these areas, we'll be incorporating to the 62 regional coordinations in the state in order to have the effective
todo este
unit
despliegue
to stop the
trabaja en
crime.
coordinación
All of this works in
con las fuerzas del
coordination with
Estado,
the
con las fuerzas
forces of the
municipales,
state, the
para poder reducir
municipalities,
los índices delictivos. El señor
to
gobernador ya lo
to
citó, la reducción que
continue
ha
to
habido
reduce
gracias al trabajo que
illicit crime.
desarrollan las fuerzas estatales como
And
las
so
fuerzas
this
federales que aquí
helps to
mencionan
develop
en el
with the
despliegue. Ha
state.
habido también en el Estado una reducción importante en el
So
robo
there has
de
also been
hidrocarburos.
a
El
reduction in the state,
74% de lo que se estaba
74%.
robando de hidrocarburos, gracias a todo ese trabajo
So thanks
coordinado
to all that
de
work,
Estado y
we've been able to
Federación,
stop
se
all
ha
the
podido
theft,
reducir
a big
aquí
reduction
en
in the
este
theft
estado de
of
México. Muchas
um,
gracias.
gas, fuel. So who's next? Okay.
Muy buenos días.
Hello.
¿Quiénes quieren los precios de los
It's now the
combustibles?
who's in the
Tenemos
combustibles
primeramente
or gas
la
prices.
gasolina regular,
So regular
que en
gasoline
esta semana que
on this
concluye,
week,
la gasolinera por segunda semana
the
con el
second
precio
week
más alto y el
with the
margen más
highest
alto,
price and the
un margen
margin
de
that
3
was
pesos
highest,
69 centavos por litro y un precio al
300,
público de 20 pesos
and a
con
public
80
price of
centavos
28.
en Guanajuato, Grupo Seca
Guanajuato,
Gasolineras.
Guanajuato is
Mientras que
Grupo
la más
Seca
económica y con
Gasolineras,
el
and the
margen
most
menor
economical
de
with the
13
lowest price
centavos por
was
litro de margen
1769.
y un precio al público de 17 pesos
Servicio
con 59
Parrilla,
centavos en servicio parrilla en Centro Tabasco.
that's
En
in
el
Tabasco, in
combustible
the center of
premium,
Tabasco.
el precio y el margen más alto lo encontramos
And
en Orzán del
also
Norte, San Pedro Garza García, Nuevo
they
León
had
con un precio al público de
another,
21.99 por litro y
I'm
un
trying to
margen
figure
de
out
3
which one
pesos
that is,
con 64
but
centavos
it's a
por
different
litro,
type of gas
mientras que el
that
margen
is
más
higher,
bajo lo
21.99.
encontramos en
And then it
Uruapan,
must be the
Veracruz
premium.
a 42 centavos
So
por litro de margen, un precio al
so there's a
público
margin of
de
42 cents, and it's
18.99 en la gasolina
18.99
premium y
in the, oh
en
yeah,
el
premium gas.
combustible diésel
That's in
tenemos un
Tapliplan,
margen de 3
Veracruz.
pesos con 7 centavos que lo tiene Gabino Barrera Estrada
Oh,
en
Gabino Barrera
Churumuco,
Estrada,
Michoacán, con
highest
un
price,
precio al público
Michoacán,
de 23 pesos con 8 centavos
Churumucu,
por litro
Michoacán,
y el más
23.8.
económico
And the
en
best
Nacajuca,
price
Tabasco,
was in
18 pesos con 99 centavos
Nacajuca,
por litro,
Tabasco,
un margen de
18.99.
45 centavos.
So
Y si vemos los
45%
promedios nacionales
margin. And
por
you can see
marca, hemos
the
estado viendo en los
margins,
últimos
and you
2
can
meses
see that within the
cómo
last 2
está
months,
muy plano ya.
it's now
Quiere
very
decir que en los
closer to very
promedios no hay
level.
una gran
So the
diferencia
median doesn't
entre
have
los más
such a big
caros y
difference
los más
between the most
económicos,
expensive and the
pero
most
aún
economical.
así
But
se han
still,
mantenido como los más
they've
caros en el
maintained
país,
the highest
Chevron,
prices,
Resco y Arco,
Chevron,
mientras
Arco,
que se han mantenido como los más
and
económicos
the most
Total,
economical.
Guagas y Orsan.
So
Pemex está en el medio
Pemex is
de
in
la
the
tabla.
middle.
Y si vemos los trabajos
And you
realizados por
can
la
see the
Profeco en
work
materia
done
de
by the
verificación,
verification.
en esta semana que
This
concluyó,
week, we
atendimos
concluded we attended to
1.228 quejas
1,200
presentadas por
complaints
los
that were
consumidores en
presented by the
nuestra app.
consumers in
Por
on
cierto,
our
una
app,
gasolinera
as
en
it is
la zona metropolitana
in
de
the
Guadalajara
metropolitan zone
reunió
of
casi
Guate,
200 de
had
esas
nearly
1.228 quejas.
200 of those.
Obviamente verificamos
So,
esta
of course,
gasolinera y
we
encontramos
verified it,
ahí descalibradas
and we
las
found
bombas.
that there was
Son
some lack of
459 visitas.
calibration on
Una
those
de esas
pumps.
visitas pues atendió más de
That was in
casi 200
like
quejas de
200
esta
complaints from
gasolinera
that one, so they knew
en
there
la
was
zona
something wrong.
metropolitana de Guadalajara
And that was in
y
Guadalajara.
inmovilizamos 30 bombas. Hubo
And
4 gasolineras
they
que
found
no se
4
dejaron
that
verificar
would not allow
en esta
themselves to be
semana,
verified
una en
this week.
Puebla, otra en Aguascalientes,
Puebla,
Aguascalientes
Aguascalientes,
es más adelante,
and
otra más en Campeche,
one in
y
Campeche
en Tecolotlán,
and Tecolotlan,
Jalisco.
Jalisco.
Y por último, en
And then,
relación a la app,
the
comentarles que
last part
llevamos al
was the
momento
comment.
85,790
We have
descargas de la
85,790
app.
that have been,
Creciendo ya
the
de
app
manera
has
moderada
been
después
continue
del
to
arranque
grow. So this is
inicial
an app that helps
y
to
ya llevamos un
figure
poquito
out where
más
the
de un
best
mes
prices are
de
near
haber
you.
respondido a Apple con el
So,
sistema
so
iOS
Apple,
algunas observaciones, sin embargo todavía
they're still working
no
on the
tenemos
Apple.
disponible
They
en
still don't
Apple
have
Store.
it
Esperemos que ya
on
pronto
Apple
no lo
products.
permitan tener disponible a los consumidores también del sistema iOS. y
So
el
from the
laja, el
US, they're
precio
not
más
allowing
bajo
it
en
to
todo el
be,
país,
oh my
se
gosh,
presenta en
they're not
Centro
allowing it to be
Tabasco por un
disposable.
precio de 17 pesos con 45
So
centavos por litro
the
de
cheapest
gasolina
of,
regular,
this
la
is
más
the other
cara
kind of,
21.75 en La Paz, Baja
so
California
this, I think this is
Sur,
the other, oh, this is
mientras
the
que
best
en el
prices
combustible
again.
premium tenemos el precio más bajo en el país
And you
en
can see
Agua
the
Dulce,
best
Veracruz
prices.
a 18.89 por litro y el precio más alto en el país en Bahía de Banderas, Nayarit, con 23 pesos 29 centavos por litro de premium. En diésel, el precio más bajo, 18.89 en Acajuca, Tabasco, y el
So you
más
can see the
alto a
prices
23 pesos
there,
con 8
where the
centavos
best
en
prices are.
Churubusco, Michoacán. Estos precios son solo el más alto y el más bajo,
So all they
como
do is they
hacemos con
show the
más de
highest and the
10,000
lowest.
precios de servicios y productos en
But
todo
if you
el
look on the
país
app, you can
cada
see all the
semana. Aquí
prices
les
in the
tienen los
areas.
precios. En gas LP, en tanques estacionarios, el
So
precio más alto,
stationary,
10 pesos con 78 centavos por litro,
the
que
other
se
type of
presenta en
gas, I guess it's
Servigas
the home
Guadiana,
gas.
en Francisco y Madero, Coahuila, con un margen de 5 pesos 35
So it's
centavos por litro,
1078.
mientras que el más económico para tanques estacionarios
So
está en
these are for the
Servigas
little tanks.
SADCB, en
So the best
Tarímbaro,
price is
Michoacán, con un
747 per
precio al
liter.
público de 7 pesos 47 centavos por litro y un margen de 2 pesos con
So
21
it's a
centavos
margin of
en
221.
los cilindros de gas que se vende por kilo a
That these are the
19.97 el
cylinders
kilo,
that they sell by
es
the
el precio
kilo.
más
It's
alto que está en Servigas de
19.97.
Guadiana,
It's the
en
highest price
Francisco y Madero, Coahuila,
in
igual que el
Francisco Madero,
estacionario, con
Coahuila,
un margen de 9 pesos
with a
32
margin of 9
centavos,
pesos.
y
That's
Servigas
expensive.
SADCB en Tarímbaro, Michoacán, presenta el
Sounds like
precio
they're
más bajo
abusing there.
a 13 pesos con 84 centavos
And
por
the
kilo,
cheapest
un
was
margen
at
de 3 pesos con 50 centavos.
13.84
Y en
per
el tema de
kilo.
verificaciones,
And when it came to
a quienes expenden el gas LP,
verifying,
verificamos
we
34
verified
expendedores,
34.
de ellos
Of
10
them,
recibieron infracciones
10 got
y
infractions,
uno se negó a ser
and one
verificado.
refused to have
Ya
the
estamos preparando un
verification.
operativo
Of
especial
course,
en
we're
el tema
going to
de
be
gas
doing
LP porque ya hemos ido juntando
certain,
varias estaciones que nos han permitido
so there's
verificar.
quite a few that have not allowed
Vimos la
themselves to be
calibración de
verified.
331
So we saw
básculas
that there was
y
a
6 resultaron con
calibration
problemas de calibración, fueron
on 6 of them
inmovilizadas.
for
Se
calibration.
inmovilizaron 6 de
So once
18
they get
vehículos
tested and
verificados,
they
se
get
inmovilizaron 2 de
put out of business, 6 of
39
them.
autotanques verificados y verificamos 19 lotes de
And so
cilindros,
verified
648 en
19
total
lots
de
of
estos
cylinders.
lotes, 15 se encontraron
15
con
were
problemas
found with
que
problems
representan
that
inseguridad para los
could
consumidores.
represent
Esto es un
problems for the
porcentaje en
consumer.
promedio del 2%.
That is a
Hemos visto una
2%
reducción muy
which is a
significativa, lo cual
significant
implica que a raíz
reduction,
de que hemos
which
estado
implies that
observando
as
y
we've been
publicando
observing
los
and
resultados
publicizing
en cilindros
the
de gas, se
results
ha notado
to
una
the
baja muy
cylinders of gas,
significativa. Andábamos cerca
they've
del 40%
it used to be
de cilindros de gas
40%
en mal
that
estado que se
the
sacaron de sus
tanks.
bodegas los expendedores,
Yes, so
los
they had a
cilindros
bunch of them
nuevos,
that were
y los
damaged
estamos
and they were
viendo ya
dangerous. So
repasados
now
al
they're
mercado. Muchas gracias.
greatly decreased. So now I guess it's the question and answer. So that's all the information.
Si les parece,
And if
abrimos
you don't mind,
la
let's
sesión de preguntas
start with the section of questions and answers.
y nos organizamos.
And we're going
También
to
la propuesta es que sea
start
un periodista,
with a
mujer, hombre,
man and woman,
comunicador del Estado de México
public,
y uno nacional.
and one national. So he's going to
Que
get
sea
some locals and
justo,
some nationals so that it'll be just this
Entonces,
question and
empezar
answer.
con una mujer
We'll start with a lady
del Estado de México,
from the state of Mexico
dedicada al periodismo.
that's dedicated to periodicals. There she is. So they're trying to get her a mic right now. My question is what's happening with the exportation from the U.S. to our country? What is the government using to stop the uncontrolled entrance of arms into our country? And the next thing is,
¿Qué medidas se están
What
tomando
measures are you taking
para los penales, las
for the
cárceles
jails
están
that
sobrepobladas,
are overpopulated,
que en algunas
that
tienen
in
el
some
doble
cases they have
de,
double
pues, de capacidad
of
que
their
deberían de tener?
capacity?
¿Qué medidas son las que se
What
están tomando,
measures are
señor
being taken
presidente?
in that case?
Bueno, en el caso de la
In the
en
case
mi
of
pregunta estamos
the questions what you're asking, the first
trabajando
question,
para
we're working on
evitar que entren armas
preventing arms
de
entering
contrabando
that are by contraband
para la delincuencia,
for the use of
el
delinquency.
ejército, la
The
Secretaría de Marina
the Secretary of
tienen
Marines,
este plan
Army has this
y se
plan,
han logrado
and they have gained
pues decomisos de armas.
decommissioning arms.
Creo que hay algo
I believe
importante
there is something important
que
that
destacar.
we need to
No se
point out.
permite ningún
We do
acuerdo
not permit any,
como era antes
like they used to
con
before,
el gobierno
with the
de
government
Estados Unidos
of the U.S.
para la introducción de armas
for
a
the
nuestro
introduction
país.
of arms to our country.
Hubo
There was,
en un tiempo
at one time,
hasta un acuerdo,
even an agreement,
inclusive
including
confidencial,
that was confidential,
clandestino,
that was clandestine,
para introducir armas
to
a
introduce
México.
arms to Mexico.
Eso
That
no se ha permitido.
will not be or has
Desde
not been
luego,
permitted.
Estamos
And of course, we are
combatiendo el tráfico de armas,
preventing the trafficking of
haciendo
arms.
un esfuerzo
And we are making an effort,
especial
special
por
effort,
el daño que causan
due to
las
the
armas
problems that are
en nuestro
damages
país,
that these
de acuerdo
arms cause in our
la
problems.
legislación vigente.
Due to our pending
Existe más
legislation,
control
it needs more control
que en otros países
than in other countries.
en cuanto a la adquisición de armas
As to the acquisition of arms, the
que requieren de permisos
that are going,
de la
when you
Secretaría
get
de la Defensa.
arms, you're going to need permission from the
Somos
Secretary
muy
of Defense.
respetuosos
And we are
de lo que
very
decían
respectful
otros gobiernos,
from what other governments used to
pero
say.
pensamos
But we think
que
that
estos lamentables hechos
that these sad situations or actions
que se presentaron en
that
Estados
were
Unidos
presented in the United
deben
States
de
need to be
llevar a la
taken
reflexión, al
to
análisis
reflection and analysis
y a la decisión
and to the decision
de
of
controlar
controlling
la venta
the sale
indiscriminada.
indiscriminate of arms.
Lo digo con todo respeto.
I say it with all respect.
No es nuestro ánimo
It is not
intrometernos en
our,
la vida interna
we don't like to be
de
getting involved in
ningún
internal
país,
politics of any country,
pero
but
sí
if it,
debe de
or they should,
replantearse
they need to rethink
este
this
asunto,
matter
porque
because
afecta
it's
mucho,
affecting very
en este
much,
caso,
in this case,
a los estadounidenses.
this United
Y
States
también
people,
nos afecta a
but
nosotros.
it's also affecting us.
Vamos a
And we're going
hacerlo
to do
que nos corresponde,
what is on our, what
siempre
corresponds
respetuoso
to us, and always be
del derecho
respectful
ajeno,
to the rights of others,
no intervenir
not to
en
intervene
asuntos
in the matters
internos de otros
of
países
internal matters
para
of
que
other
de esta
countries,
manera también
so that in
nosotros
this way
podamos mantener
we can always maintain
nuestra soberanía,
our own sovereignty,
nuestra
our
independencia.
independence.
Eso por lo que corresponde
This is
a
because
las
of what
armas.
is related to
pregunta?
arms. And another question?
Sí,
Oh, regarding the jails.
miren,
Yes,
en cuanto a los penales
regarding the jails
federales,
and the federal prisons,
no tenemos sobrepoblación.
we do not have overpopulation.
En el caso
But yes, in the
de
case
penales
of um,
estatales,
state
sí existe
there is
sobrepoblación,
overpopulation,
ya se está actuando.
and we are
También
acting on it.
eh,
And
no
also,
es en todos los estados.
there is in all the
Sí hay
states,
sobrepoblación,
there is
lo acaba
overpopulation,
de informar
and we've been
el
informed
gobernador
by the
del Estado de México.
governor of the
Aquí
state of Mexico here.
hay sobrepoblación,
There is an
tienen
overpopulation,
capacidad en
and
las cárceles
they have capacity in the
para
jails
13,000
for
reclusos
13,000
y hay
prisoners,
más de 20,000.
and there's more than
Este es
20,000.
un
So that
problema
is a problem
que ya se está atendiendo.
that is now being
El
attended to.
gobierno del Estado de México está
The
trabajando en coordinación
the
con el gobierno
government of the
federal.
state of Mexico on the federal level,
Estamos
we're
colaborando, apoyando
collaborating to
para el
help
traslado a penales federales
to transfer
de
these
internos
to
en
federal prisons
cárceles
and
y
jails
reclusorios del Estado de México.
from the state of
Y
Mexico.
también
And also,
esto hasta me gustaría que él
and
lo
I would
expusiera,
like to
voy a pedir
expose
que él lo haga.
that they
Hay el
do
compromiso de construir
make a commitment to
penales
construct two
más
more
Estado de México.
prisons in the state of Mexico,
Es un tema
which is a matter
importante.
or topic that is very
Entonces, a ver,
important.
Alfredo nos expone sobre este
So let's see if he can
asunto.
let us know
Quiero
regarding this
aprovechar
matter.
para decir que
So now I want to
existe
take the
muy
advantage
buena
to say that we have
coordinación
good,
con el
very
gobierno del
good
Estado de México.
coordination with the governor of
Y
state of Mexico.
También
And also,
he constatado
I've
que el gobernador
constituted that the
del
government
Estado de México
of the state of Mexico
está pendiente
is
está al tanto
very
de
well
lo
aware
que sucede
of what is happening
en este tema que tanto le
in this
importa,
matter that is
a los
so
ciudadanos.
important to the citizens,
Los problemas de inseguridad
the
y de
problems of
violencia.
insecurity.
No está en otras cosas,
It is not in other
conoce
things.
de lo que está sucediendo.
It is
Y eso es muy
known what is
importante,
happening, and that's very
porque
important.
cuando no se atiende un problema,
Because if you're not taking care of a
problema que se
problem,
soslaya,
a problem that you
estalla.
overlook will become a
y
big
esto no
problem,
se puede delegar.
and you cannot delegate
Eso
that.
se tiene que atender
You have to attend to it
personalmente. Tiene que
personally,
haber
and
conducción,
so
tiene que
you
haber
have to be
dirección.
directing
Pero a ver,
and
¿qué nos
conducing.
puede decir
So let's see what
el
he has
gobernador
to
sobre
say,
este tema en
government
particular?
regarding governor regarding this matter.
Gracias. En caso de
Thank you.
los penales, efectivamente,
Regarding the
hace un
penal
momento,
system,
hay una sobrepoblación
there is an
de
overpopulation,
personas privadas de la libertad.
and it
En el
has
caso
to
del
do
Estado
with
de México, tenemos
liberty.
22 penales.
We have
De esos 22 penales
22
tenemos
penal
13,000
area. Are those
capacidad para
thir-
13,000 personas
we have a
privadas de libertad.
capacity for
Y la
13,000,
población que hoy en
but
día
the
tiene el Estado de
population
México
that they
es de
have
casi
now
28,000.
is almost
Es
28,000.
decir,
That
tenemos
is
casi
to
un
say,
120%
we
de
have
sobrepoblación
approximately
en los penales del
120%
Estado de México.
overpopulation in the state of Mexico
Agradezco
in
al gobierno
prison system.
de México,
And I
en especial al
appreciate
secretario Durazo,
the
que nos ha
President of
apoyado
Mexico
para
supporting
el
us
traslado de algunas personas privadas de su libertad
uh,
de
to
penales estatales
help
a penales
people
federales
get,
y de
get
otras
their
entidades.
liberty.
Esto nos ayuda a desahogar
This
un
helps
poco
us
esa
to
saturación que tenemos y
help
también
desaturate.
resaltar que en particular han sido personas privadas de la libertad
And they
de
have been
alta
people
peligrosidad.
that,
Es decir, son delincuentes de alta peligrosidad.
so the
los que
ones they
sean,
have are
trasladados
delinquents
a
that are
penales
high,
federales.
that the ones
Y
with
por
high
otro lado,
delinquency they're going to send to
estamos en
federal
proceso de
prisons.
iniciar
And so we're
la
in the
construcción de
process
dos penales más
of
en el estado de México.
initiating
Uno
the
en Ixtahuaca
process
y
of
otro en Otumba, que nos van a permitir
Otumba.
incrementar la capacidad que
They will
tenemos hoy
help
en día
us to,
y con
they're
esto
going to open the
ir
two prisons.
desaturando un poco
This will help to
la
desaturate a little
gran presencia que
the
tenemos de
great
personas privadas de
presence we
libertad en
have
los penales del Estado de México. Y algo
and
importante
people
que
that are
aprovecho
set
para
to
mencionar
liberty.
también es que se hace
And we also
un
have been
monitoreo muy permanente
monitoring
tanto desde los centros
that is
de
done
los
from the
penales
center
como
of the
en el
penal
centro
system,
de mando del
such as
Estado de México en
the,
Toluca para tener una
in order to have a
comunicación directa
communication
con la
directly
vigilancia que
with
tienen
the
los penales
vigilance
y
that the
poder
prisons have,
fortalecer
fortalecer, reforzar
and
esos casos.
reinforce these
Y lo
cases.
mismo se está trabajando
And the
también
same
de
thing is
manera
being
importante en un
done
programa de reinserción social,
with
que esto nos
social
ayude
research
también a ir disminuyendo el número de
in
personas
order
privadas de
to
libertad que tenemos
diminish
en los
the
penales,
number of
a
people,
través de pláticas, a través de conferencias, a los mismos personas privadas de la
the
libertad y a
people
sus
that
familias. Y también hemos hecho convenios con algunos organismos empresariales
and so
para
we want to make
facilitar la incorporación
facilitate the
ya
incorporation
de
of
mañana
as
a
of
estas
tomorrow
personas a
to the
incorporarse en una
people
actividad laboral.
to
Y esto
incorporate themselves in a
también
labor
capacitándolos en
and
artes, oficios
so we'll
que les
help them
permitan
to
a ellos
become
ir
capacitated
llevando a
in
cabo alguna
arts
actividad para la
so that they can
reinserción social.
have
Y esto
a
nos ayude pues a ir
reinitiation
atendiendo
into
esta
the
situación que
social
tenemos en el Estado de México.
structure. So they're trying to train them, like
Vamos a lo
rehabilitate.
nacional.
Carmen.
So now Carmen, National.
Presidente, buenos días.
So
Yo
hello.
quisiera preguntarle
I want to
respecto
ask
de este
you
lamentable
regarding
suceso
this
registrado en
sad
Texas,
situation in
dado
Texas,
que tiene el
given
tinte de que fue un acto
that it has a
premeditado
hint of a
y de
premeditated
que tiene
crime,
justamente rasgos
and it has
xenofóbicos,
like genophobic
que parece que de alguna manera
thread
responden a esos
that seems
mensajes
to
de
respond to
odio
the
en contra de
messages of
los
hate
latinos, de los
against the
mexicanos,
Mexicans
en
and the
alguna
Latin
medida.
people.
Yo quisiera
I would like
saber
to
si hay
know
en
if
este
there is
mensaje que usted está
in this message
mandando
that you're
justo de que
sending
se termine
that they
ese tema
end
del odio
this
y de la
hate
xenofobia, si
and
este mensaje
xenophobic
es directo para
messages
el
that are being
presidente de los
given,
Estados Unidos,
especially
quien
to the President of
desde
the
su
United
primera
States,
campaña a la
as his first
presidencia,
campaign
durante el mandato que ha
that
realizado
he
ya
has
y ahora en
already
esta
realized,
segunda
and
campaña,
this on the
pues no ha
second
bajado
campaign,
la guardia
he
y ha
hasn't
mantenido
stopped and he's
justamente como
maintained
una bandera de
this
campaña y de
campaign
gestión esos mensajes de odio que
of
usted
these
estaría
messages
pidiendo
of hate
directamente
that are
al
directed
presidente de los Estados
at
Unidos
the
que
Mexican
dejara
people,
de
and
lado,
that
que
to
terminara,
please
digamos,
send a message
con
to
ese
to the
mensaje de
American
odio, de
president to
animadversión
stop sending
hacia
those
los latinos en
messages of
general y
hate
hacia los mexicanos en
against to the
particular. Esa es una. Y
Latin
la
people and
otra
especially the
pregunta
Mexican people
sería,
in
el canciller
particular.
Marcelo Ebrard
So
estará
also Marcelo Ebrard,
atendiendo
is he going to
ya
be
allá
attending
el
to
asunto
the
con los familiares
matter
de
with
las
the
víctimas y
families
demás?
of
Pero
the
yo quisiera
victims?
saber si hay
And we
alguna
would like to
instrucción
know
o
if
se
there's
espera que
any
además de que sea una
instruction
posterior
or
nota
there's going to
diplomática
be
tuviera
some
un
diplomatic
acercamiento con
notes that will
funcionarios
have an
federales del gobierno de los Estados Unidos
closening
justamente en
of
este ámbito
something with the
diplomático
United
para
States government in
pues
order
quizá
to
buscar cambiar ese
to
ánimo y
try
ese
to
mensaje y también
change
sobre
that
el tema de las
mental
investigaciones que está
attitude,
realizando sobre todo
you
el
know,
FBI.
regarding
Gracias.
genophobia.
Nosotros siempre hemos
Yes,
sostenido
we've
que el
always
camino
sustained that
no
the
es
way
el uso de la
is
fuerza,
not use of force,
las medidas coercitivas para
forcitive
enfrentar
measures to
los
confront
problemas,
any problems.
que tenemos
That we have
que buscar
to look for
diálogo,
dialogue
conciliación,
and reconciliation
promover la
and
fraternidad
to promote
universal
fraternity
más allá de las
universal
fronteras
uh,
y
beyond
hemos
the
venido
borders.
insistiendo
And
que
we've been
ante el
insisting
fenómeno
that
migratorio
regarding the
lo mejor es la
migratory
cooperación
fund,
para
the
el
best
desarrollo.
thing is to,
La gente
information.
que tiene que
and the people
emigrar
that
no lo
need to
hace
immigrate
por gusto, lo
don't
hace
do it
por
because they
necesidad.
want to. They do it out of necessity.
Si mejoran las condiciones de vida, de
And if
trabajo
the life
en Centroamérica, en nuestro país,
in our country and
pues
Central
vamos
America gets
a poder
better,
atemperar
then we can
el
temper
flujo migratorio
the
y a resolver
migratory
el fenómeno
situation and resolve
de la
the
migración.
phenomenon of
Esto
migration.
lo estamos haciendo.
This we're doing.
Desde los primeros días, es
Since
más,
the first days,
desde antes de
it's
tomar
more,
función
since even the first days,
como presidente
even
electo,
before I had taken the
lo he dejado
position of
manifiesto
president-elect,
y
I
se
had
los puse
already started
con
this,
mucha claridad
and I exposed it with so much
al
clarity
presidente Donald Trump.
to the President
Ante
Donald Trump
conversaciones telefónicas como en una
via
carta que le envié
telephone calls and also in a letter I sent him
de este
where I am
tema.
talking about this matter.
Yo creo en eso,
I believe in
creo
this,
que la paz
and I believe that peace
es fruto de la justicia.
is a fruit of justice.
que no se puede
and that you cannot
apagar el fuego con el fuego.
turn off
No se puede
a
enfrentar la
fire
violencia
and
con la
to
violencia.
fight violence with
No se
violence.
puede enfrentar
You cannot
el
confront
mal con el mal.
bad with bad.
Se tiene que
You need to
hacer el bien
do what's good,
y se tiene que
and you
tener
have
amor al
to have
prójimo
love for your neighbor
y fomentar, promover,
and to promote
auspiciar valores
values
humanitarios.
that are humanitarian in our population. I do not want to personalize
Decir, no
or to say
voy a
that is,
mandar ningún mensaje
I'm not going to send a
o
message
dedicatoria,
or devote anything to
porque
that or dictate anything to that,
no quiero
because I do not
que
want
se vaya a malinterpretar.
to be misinterpreted.
Nosotros
We are
siempre vamos a
have
defender
always defended and
a
will
nuestro
always
pueblo.
defend our people.
México
Mexico always
será
will be
nuestra prioridad.
our priority.
Primero México,
First Mexico,
primero los mexicanos.
first the Mexican people.
Sin embargo,
But even so, and besides
el
that,
dolor de la indignación,
and it's sad this indignation that they have for
no
these
queremos
people,
prestar
we don't want to
a que
give
se
way to
utilicen
allow them to utilize for these electoral
en
purposes
Estados Unidos.
in the U.S.
Tenemos que tener presente que
We
hay
need to
una
have
circunstancia
present that these special circumstances, there's elections
en Estados Unidos.
in the U.S.,
No queremos,
and we do not want to get involved.
no es un asunto
This,
maniqueo
this is not a
de buenos y malos.
matter of
Sí,
puppeting with bad
vemos
intentions.
las cosas con objetividad,
We look at things with objectivity,
decir
and we can say
que en los dos partidos
that the two parties, the two principal
de
parties
Estados Unidos
in the U.S.,
ha habido
there have been
poca atención
very little attention
al control
to the control
de las armas.
of arms.
Yo hablaba
I was
hace un momento
talking about it a while ago regarding
ese operativo
this
llamado
operative
Rápido y Furioso
called Rapid and Furious that was permitted,
y
and
quienes estaban
those
entonces
that were at that
en la
time
presidencia
in the presidency
eran los que ahora están
are
en la oposición
those that are now in the
en
opposition
Estados Unidos.
in the U.S.
Nada más digo esto
But I say this
para
in order to
nivelarnos,
level,
equilibrarnos.
bring
Nosotros
equilibrium.
queremos una relación
We
respetuosa
want a respectful
con el
relationship
gobierno de Estados Unidos
with the United States government,
y también
and
sí
also
que lamentamos
it is lamentable
las pérdidas de vidas
the
humanas
loss of life
en ese país.
in that country.
Desde luego nos duele mucho
Of course,
nuestros muertos,
our people, our dead, are very
pero también nos duele
important to us,
que pierdan la
but
vida
also it is sad for us that
seres
any
humanos
human
de
beings
otra
of any
nacionalidad.
nationality also
El
lose life.
secretario de Relaciones Exteriores ya tiene instrucciones precisas
So our country has
para que primero
precise
se atienda,
situation so that we can attend to the family members first, to pay attention to the injured,
y se proceda
and also to
de conformidad
proceed
con el derecho internacional
with international conformity,
hacer las notas
to do
diplomáticas
the
que requiere el caso.
diplomatic notes that is
también
required by
si
this,
hay elementos
and if there is elements
legalmente.
legal.
Ayer lo expresó
Yesterday it was
el
expressed
secretario de Relaciones.
in the Secretary of Relations.
Es procedente,
If it is
se va a presentar una denuncia
necessary, he will present a complaint
quien cometió
against those that committed
estos actos
these
de
acts
crimen
of crime,
y se va a hacer la acusación
and we are going to make that accusation
prácticas
regarding
terroristas
terrorist practices
al gobierno de Estados Unidos para
for the U.S.
que
To
actúe
the U.S. government so that they can act in a conformity
legislación.
with their legislation.
Es muy probable que se
It
haga
is very probable that
denuncia.
we make this
Vamos también
complaint.
siendo muy respetuosos
And also
a
we're going to
seguir
continue to insist respectfully that there be
control
control
en la venta de armas,
in the sale of arms,
que no se puedan adquirir las armas
that they cannot acquire the arms
centro comercial
in any commercial center,
como sucede
as it is
sin
happening
ningún control.
without any control.
Eso no pasa
That should not
en
happen,
nuestro país.
and that does not happen in
También
our
de manera
country.
muy respetuosa,
And also in a
hasta podríamos
very
nosotros
respectful way, we can also
enviar
send
información
information
sobre nuestra legislación,
uh,
los
as to
procedimientos
our
que se siguen
legislation and the procedures that we deal with in this matter, in order to help them, to cooperate with them in anything that needs to be done.
Estado de México.
So now someone from the state of Mexico. Hello, Mr. President. So regarding this matter of sale of arms, here in the state of Mexico, there has been a phenomenon that's interesting and dangerous, that they're selling in these replicas of arms, firearms, that they use these ammunition that are like practice. But they're not real arms, but they're replicas that are identical. And they sell it in commercial stores, very cheap, economical, rifles, revolvers, 600 pesos or 2,000 to 3,000 pesos. So does the government have knowledge of this? Well, that's very good information that you're giving us. I don't know if I ask the Secretary of Defense to inform us regarding what is the control that they're having regarding arms and how it's regulated, and also to take advantage of this opportunity to inform you regarding what they're doing to confiscate arms, especially on the border. He has understanding of this, and that's his function, and they do a very good job. These Marines and these soldiers of Mexico. And I want to take the opportunity to say that besides, even with the difficulties and how complex this problem is of security, we can count on the support of the two great institutions, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Marines. And this is possible because it's been reformed, the Constitution, in order to permit that Marines and soldiers are now able to help us with the matters with public security. Before, and I want to underline that, and I want to repeat that they were not allowed to do this participation in these matters, these jobs that are so important to the citizens. Of course, we're interested in national defense and security of the state, the internals, but what's most important to us, due to the circumstances in which the country finds itself, is public security, protection for the citizens.
Ahora ya
So
se
now
puede
you can
tener la
have
colaboración
the collaboration
de elementos
of
del
elements
Secretaría de
from the
Marina,
Secretary
de
of the
la Secretaría de
Marines,
la Defensa.
Secretary of Defense.
Ya es
So now it is
constitucional,
constitutional,
es legal.
it is legal.
Entonces,
So
esto también es
this is
importante
also very
recordarlo.
important to
Imagínense
remember it.
si
Imagine
hubiésemos seguido
if we had
con
continued
el mismo marco legal
with the old
existía,
existing marginal
solo
legal.
se podía contar
You could
con
only
la
use
Policía Federal,
the federal government
en realidad con
police
10,000 efectivos
with 10,000 people
de la Policía Federal.
that made up elements that made up
Teniendo
that
eh,
federal police.
estas dos instituciones.
And they
Nada
had
más,
these two institutions that were available to them.
en el caso
But
del
not
ejército,
only in the case of the Army,
alrededor de 230,000
around
elementos,
230,000
en
elements.
la Marina
In the Marine,
65,000 elementos.
65,000
Por eso tengo
elements.
confianza
So that's why I have
de
confidence
que vamos
that
a
we
ir
are
avanzando
going to be
y
advancing
pacificando
and
el
pacifying
país
the
sin
country
violar
without violating
derechos humanos.
human rights.
Bueno, pues ahora vamos a
So
pedir
now let's
al general Sandoval que nos
talk with
explique.
General Sandoval to speak to us.
La pregunta, en la parte
Regarding
de
the
armas de
question
fuego,
of
está regulado por
firearms
la ley
that's
federal de
regulated by law
armas y control de explosivos.
and the
Y
control of
tenemos todo un
explosives,
procedimiento. De hecho,
we
la
have a
Secretaría de la Defensa
whole
Nacional
procedure
es
from the
la
National
única
Defense,
responsable
the
de
responsible
la importación
area
de armas,
for
de la
the
venta de armas
for
dentro
the
del
sale of
país,
arms,
a
importation of
través
arms,
del procedimiento
regarding the
de
procedures
adquisición que
for
tenemos
acquisition
para
for
fuerzas
the forces,
estatales,
for
fuerzas
state
municipales,
forces,
para
municipal forces,
inclusive
and
público
also
general,
additionally
tiene
for
que
general
responder
public.
a un procedimiento,
They have to go through a procedure
cumplir unos
to
requisitos.
comply with certain prerequisites.
Hacia afuera también
So
las
on the
diferentes
outside, we also
empresas que se
have
encargan
certain
en el mundo
companies that
de
are in the
adquirir,
world
de vender
that are
armamento. Ellos
selling
también
arms. They also
tienen el conocimiento
have
que
the
la Secretaría de
knowledge
Defensa Nacional
from
es
the
el único
National
ente
Defense.
responsable
And these are the ones that are responsible from the
de la
Mexican
adquisición de
state
armamento.
for
En la
the
parte
acquisition of
de
arms.
armas como las que se
So
mencionaban,
regarding
que
the
son
arms that you were talking
parecidas
about that are
sin
simulations
ser un arma de fuego,
without
pero
actually
que
being
son
a firearm,
totalmente idénticas.
but they're totally
No
identical.
nos registra la
They
ley federal
they
de
are
armas de
not
fuego.
registered by the federal law.
No tiene alguna disposición
They
sobre
have
esto,
no
pero hay
discussion
en el
regarding that.
Congreso ya
But in
iniciativas
Congress, there is an
para regular
initiative
esta parte
to
y
regulate this
actuar
part and
dentro de la ley para
to
poder
put it within the
regular
law
la
to
importación de
regulate
ese
the
tipo
importation
armas y
of
la
that type
venta
of
también,
arms
y
and
a
the
quién se
sale
les vende,
and who it's
porque
sold to,
efectivamente no
because
hay una
effectively there
regulación
is no
que
regulation
permita
that permits
pedir requisitos,
to have
tener el control de la gente
prerequisites and
que ha comprado
controls
esas armas,
of who buys
que
those
las
arms
utiliza,
and what they're
como sí
using it
lo
for,
establece
and
la actual ley. Entonces ya se
as
está
it's established by the
buscando
actual
regular
law.
esta
So
parte
we're
porque se
trying
está
to regulate
convirtiendo
this because
en una
it's
pues
becoming
en una
a
actividad
an
que de
activity
alguna u otra forma
that in
se
some way
utilizan
can be utilized,
armas
these arms,
para poder
in order to
cometer
commit
diferentes tipos de delitos
different type of
y bueno, no
crimes.
se identifica
And
muy
you
rápidamente
can't
si
tell right away that
una
it's a
persona lo que
person has a
tiene en la mano es un arma de
arm
fuego
that is a
real
real
o un
arm
arma
or a
de,
firearm,
de,
or it's
diríamos,
like a little
juguete o una
like a
réplica,
toy or replica,
donde no dispara
where
una
they
munición,
wouldn't
pero sí
have
una munición como tal, pero sí
but it would have
algún
some kind of
proyectil
munition,
que
but
pueda
not as
servir
dangerous, but it could also be
como
used
eso, ¿no?
in order to
Pero ya se está en el Congreso
commit a
viendo
crime.
esto
So now in
la
Congress we're
modificación de
dealing
la
with
ley
this,
federal.
regarding modifying the law for that.
Por parte de Profeco, sobre todo en el Día del Niño, en el mes de abril,
Especially in the
fin de
month
año
of
y
the February, where the
tenemos
Child's Day,
operativos especiales,
we have
año
special
con año
operations year by year,
destruimos varias
and we've
miles de
discovered
juguetes con
thousands of
apariencia de
children
arma. Solamente se
toys that
permite
have
la
appearance of
importación y
arms,
venta de aquellos que por sus colores
that due to their
resulta
colors they look
que son juguetes, pero
identical,
cualquier otro que
but
a
any other one
distancia
from a
no se
distance
puede
You can't
distinguir.
tell.
Nosotros
So
lo decomisamos y lo
we
destruimos.
decommission them
Si
and
nos
destroy
pasa,
them.
por favor, la
If you
información
would
en
please
dónde
give
está
us the
detectado, no
information where
tenemos
you've detected it.
ningún reporte
We have no
especial
report,
en
a
el
special
Estado de
report on
México.
that,
Con mucho
and the
gusto
state of
hacemos un
Mexico. We would
verificativo.
appreciate that very much.
Nacional. A ver.
So a national one now.
Gracias, señor presidente, secretarios,
Or international.
compañeros. Buenos días, Arturo Páramo de Imagen. Insistirle en cuál será
I want to
entonces
insist what is
la actitud del gobierno
the attitude
mexicano
of the Mexican
respecto
government
a esta
regarding
venta
this
de armas en Estados
sale
Unidos.
of the
Finalmente,
U.S.
un episodio en Estados
So
Unidos,
it's
pero ahí hay una
an episode in
enmienda a
the
la
U.S.
Constitución que permite el
that
derecho
is an
de
amendment
portar
to the
un arma.
that is to
Es
the Constitution
imposible
that allows them to
tratar de
bear
hacer
arms.
una regulación
It's impossible to
promover
try to do a
una
regulation
regulación sin afectar ese
without
derecho
affecting that
es constitucional.
constitutional
¿Cuál sería
right.
entonces la
So
ruta que
what then would you
elegiría el
take the
gobierno
route
mexicano?
that the
Se quedaría
Mexican
solamente
people
en
would
este
take
exhorto que se
that
hace
would
al
exhort
gobierno de los
the
Estados
government of the
Unidos, eso es
United
por una
States
parte.
on one part, and on the other part, another
ayer
matter.
se anunció también
They've
el
announced
congelamiento de
also
cuentas a la exsecretaria
the
de
ex-secretary
Desarrollo Social y de
of
la
Social
SEDATU,
Security,
Rosario Robles, por parte de
Rosario
la
Robles,
inteligencia financiera.
Financial
Si nos
Department.
pudiera comentar qué
If
avances
you
hay con esa
commented
investigación,
regarding
por qué
that
se congelan
investigation
las cuentas, es parte del proceso que
and,
se
you
está
know,
llevando
regarding the
en contra de ella,
accountability
que hay
that's
algún
been
avance más,
brought
si tiene
according
algún
to
tipo de responsabilidad
the
en contra de
crime
esa
she's been
exfuncionaria.
charged with.
Bueno, acerca de lo primero, pues.
So regarding the first part, I
eh,
insist
somos respetuosos de
that we are respectful
la independencia
of the
de
independence
los países,
of the
de los
countries
gobiernos,
and the government.
respeto al derecho ajeno.
And I respect others' rights for peace.
Pienso,
But I also think,
mi opinión,
and it's my
que
opinion,
este tema va a
that
ser
this matter will be
debatido,
debated,
analizado
analyzed
en Estados Unidos.
in the U.S.
Va a ser un tema
It will be a matter
de reflexión, de análisis
of reflection and analysis,
y puede llevar
and it could take
a una modificación.
into effect a new modification to their laws,
Porque es muy impactante.
because it's impacting very much,
Lamentable
and it's lamentable and it's very strong.
y estoy seguro
And I am
que
sure
la sociedad
that
estadounidense
the United States society, the people,
va a atender
are going to attend to this matter,
ellos
because
van a resolver lo
they're
que
going to resolve
más
it,
conviene
what's most convenient,
y no descarto
and not
el que
to
puedan llevar a cabo modificaciones a su
you know,
constitución
discount that they
y
might be able
análisis.
to make modifications to their laws.
Son tiempos
These are
nuevos,
times that are
siempre hay
new,
que estar,
and it's always
ajustando
needing to be
a la
readjusting
nueva realidad.
the legal area to the new realities. You can't maintain
Con las mismas
with the
leyes,
same
siempre,
laws of always when
son otras las realidades.
the new realities are present.
Espero que esto
So I expect that this will happen,
y sin duda va a ser
and without doubt it will
por
be
el bien
for the
Estados
good
Unidos
of the
y
U.S.
por el bien de México.
and for the good of Mexico. So what about this electoral
de
matter? Yes, it's for them,
De ellos.
for them.
Yo espero que
I hope that
se trate.
that
Estoy
they
seguro que sí.
deal with it. I do believe they will,
Pero nosotros
but we
no podemos
will not
participar más
participate anymore
que con nuestra
than
opinión
with our own opinion
respetuosa.
that's
Acerca de la
respectful.
congelación de las cuentas,
And regarding the freezing of funds, these are things that are being taken forth in the fiscal attorney general,
están solicitando
and
información
and they're soliciting
a la Unidad de
information
Inteligencia
from the
Financiera de la
financial
Secretaría de
intelligence
Hacienda.
from the Secretary of Hacienda.
Esta unidad
And this
de inteligencia financiera
unit of financial
actúa
intelligence acts
porque se lo solicitan
because it's been solicited
instancias gubernamentales.
from
Incluso
government agencies,
hay acuerdos
including there's agreements
internacionales,
internationally
sobre todo en
regarding
lo relacionado con el
when
lavado
it's
de
relation
dinero.
to the uh, money laundering
Entonces,
situations.
La Fiscalía
So
General
the Attorney General
es la que
is,
tiene
is the one
este
that is in
proceso
the process
en curso
and
y
impulsing or
es
compulsive.
muy probable
And it's very probable
se haya solicitado
that it be
la
solicited,
congelación de las
this
cuentas
freezing of funds,
para continuar con la investigación.
in order to
También
continue with the
no podemos
investigation.
nosotros,
And also we can't
condenar a nadie,
be condemning
no se
anybody.
pueden hacer juicios sumarios,
We can't do summary judgments.
se tiene que cuidar
We
siempre
have to always
la
be
dignidad de las
cautious
personas
to
y es la
protect the
autoridad
dignity of
competente
people,
la que resuelve.
and that it's the competent authorities
Hasta ahí
that
puedo.
deal with that
Estado
and
de
resolve
México.
it. And the state of Mexico, someone from the state of Mexico now.
Saber qué hará su gobierno ante
What
el
will your
desplazamiento de
government
migrantes
do
en diferentes municipios del Estado de México? Por
regarding
un lado, algunos se dedican a la mendicidad y algunos otros son incorporados a las organizaciones delictivas.
so
Esa es una. Y a mí me gustaría saber,
I'm not sure what her
¿se
question
dará
is.
continuidad
Will
al,
you
al programa del
continue
tren interurbano al 100%?
something about the
¿Y para
train,
cuándo? Porque es una
the
necesidad que
intra-urban
tienen los
train that they need
mexiquenses
from
y
the
los
Mexican
habitantes de la
people
Ciudad
and the
de México.
inhabitants of Mexico,
Gracias.
Bueno, acerca de
City
lo
of Mexico.
primero,
So regarding the
estamos,
first thing, we are
trabajando en un plan
working on a plan
para atender el
to attend to
fenómeno migratorio.
the migration
Es un plan
phenomena,
integral
and it's
que
an
tiene que ver con la
integral
aplicación
plan
de la ley en
that
nuestro
has to do
país
with the applying
en materia
the law in our
migratoria.
country regarding the
Nos
migration,
ayuda la Guardia
and
Nacional
the National Guard is
con
helping us
ese propósito.
with that purpose or to that end.
También
And also,
se están dando
we are giving
opciones
options
para que haya desarrollo,
in order that there be development,
para que haya actividades productivas,
so there be
empleos.
productive activities,
Centroamérica.
jobs in Central
Ya
America.
Me he reunido
I have already
con
met
ese propósito
with that
con
purpose
los presidentes
with the
de El
presidents
Salvador y de
of San
Honduras.
Salvador and Honduras,
Estamos esperando que
and we are waiting
pase el proceso electoral
for
en
the
Guatemala
electoral process to
para
pass
hacer
in
lo
Guatemala
propio.
so that we can do the same.
Y hay ya
And
programas
we
en
are now
marcha
having
de
programs in
cooperación
activity of
México
cooperation
con
with Mexico,
Honduras
with Honduras,
y El Salvador.
and El Salvador.
Se tiene que tener en cuenta
We have to take into
que,
account that
el mayor número de
that
migrantes
the greatest number of migrants
proviene de Centroamérica
are coming from Central America
y de 3 países,
and from 3
en
countries,
especial
in
Honduras.
especially from Honduras.
casi el 50%.
50% are from Honduras of these migrants.
Por eso
So therefore,
insistimos en que hay
we
que atender
insist that you
las
need to
causas.
attend to the causes,
que la gente
that the
no
people
salga
not
de sus
leave
pueblos,
their
y si
towns,
lo hacen, pues,
and if they
como
do it,
todos sabemos,
as we
lo
all know,
hacen
they
por
do it
necesidad
out of necessity
y también
and
por
also
inseguridad.
due to insecurity or
Estamos
not feeling safe.
atendiendo esto,
And we're
y lo
attending
mismo
to
en la
this.
frontera norte.
And the same in the front border,
Hay
northern
protección a
border.
migrantes,
We have
albergues,
protection
se
for
están
migrants,
dando opciones
hostels,
de empleo, tanto en el
options
sur
for
como en
job
el norte
on the
del
south
país.
and in the north of the
Estamos
country.
contando,
We're count,
incluso en el norte,
help
con el apoyo de
counting
empresarios,
with the support of
todas las
businessmen
empresas,
in all the
las
companies
plantas
and the
maquiladoras
and
están ofreciendo
factories
empleos.
offer
Y ya hay un número
jobs, and there's
considerable
a considerable
migrantes
number of
trabajando
migrants that are working
en estas
in these
empresas,
companies or
cuidando
factories,
siempre,
and always
repito,
taking care
los derechos humanos.
that we protect
Vamos
human rights.
nosotros a seguir actuando
So we're going
de
to
esa
continue
manera.
to act in this way.
No vamos
And we will
lo
not,
he venido diciendo,
as I have continued to say,
permitir
permit
que se
that
promuevan
there be any
campañas
encouraging campaigns of xenophobic
No queremos eso.
origin. We do not want this.
Acabo de ver una encuesta
I just saw this meeting
del comportamiento
from the
de
behavior
los países en
of
el
the
mundo
countries in the world
con relación a los migrantes.
in relation to the migrants. And I was very happy
Hay países en
that
donde
there's countries
el
where
rechazo al
they
migrante
they
es de más del 50%
they have 50%
de la población.
denial or
Y desgraciadamente
and unfortunately
en los países europeos.
in the European countries.
Y uno de los países con
And
menos
one of the
rechazo
countries with the least
a la
denial
migración,
for
a los
migration
migrantes
for the
es
mig-
México.
is Mexico.
Es uno de los países
It's
más
one of the
fraternos,
countries
más
that's most
solidarios.
fraternal and more solidarity.
Y esto corresponde a lo que
And this corresponds
ha
to
sucedido en nuestro
what
país.
has happened in our country.
Muchos por necesidad se han
Many,
tenido
due
que
to necessity,
buscarse la
have
vida
gone to look for a
Estados
life
Unidos,
in the U.S.
de aquí, del Estado
From
de
here,
México,
from the state of
de todo el
Mexico,
país.
from Mexico, from
y
all the
ahora
country.
nuestros
And now
paisanos migrantes
our
están
people, our migrants,
hasta ayudando
are even helping
mucho
a lot
con lo que envían a sus
with what they
familias.
send to their family.
Este año la proyección
This
es
year,
que
the
vamos a tener
projection is that
más
we
de
are going to have
35
$35
millones de
million
dólares en remesas.
in remissions.
Es la principal fuente de
That's the
ingresos.
principal
de nuestro
fountain
país.
of money that
Yo
comes
les
into our
llamo
country.
Los héroes vivientes,
I call them the living
nuestros
heroes,
paisanos,
our people,
migrantes.
our migrants.
Por eso, ser
So that is
prudentes
why
y tratar bien,
we have to be conscious and treat migrants well,
no tratar mal como
not to treat
está
them
escrito
bad,
en la Biblia,
like the Bible says,
al forastero.
to the foreigner,
Tratar bien a
to
todos
treat
los
all
seres
well,
humanos.
all human
La
beings.
segunda pregunta,
The second question again?
sí, vamos a terminar
Yes,
esta obra.
we're going to
un
finish that
compromiso.
job. We've made a commitment.
Eh,
The train.
se elevó mucho el costo.
The cost was very elevated.
Estaba originalmente
Originally, it was proposed
programada
at,
para que costara
it was supposed to cost
30,000 millones de pesos.
30,000 million for the train
Toluca, ciudad de
in
México.
Coluca, City
Y
of
se han
Mexico.
ejercido
And they've exercised
alrededor de 60,000
60
millones.
million.
Y para terminarlo,
And in order to
se
finish
van
it,
a requerir
it's going to require
30,000 millones más.
30
Es
more
decir,
million. That is to say,
Se estimó un presupuesto
they
de
estimated a
30,000
30,000 budget,
terminar
and now it's going to be
con un presupuesto
a total
de
cost
90,000
of
millones.
90 million pesos,
Pero
thousand
no
pesos.
podemos dejar esa obra
But we
tirada,
cannot leave that work
porque
left
ya,
unfinished,
como lo estoy expresando,
because as I am
ha implicado
expressing, has already
inversión, dinero,
had an
del
investment
presupuesto, que es dinero
of our
del pueblo.
budget. That's
Ya
the
tenemos un
people's
plan
money, and we have a plan
Para terminar
in order to
el
finish
tren
the train
en 3 años.
in 3 years.
No podríamos
We couldn't
terminarlo el año próximo
finish
porque
it by
se
next year because
necesitarían
we need
30,000
30
millones de
million,
pesos.
thousand million pesos.
Sí, ya estamos
Yes,
haciendo el compromiso
we are doing
de,
the commitment
invertir
to invest
el año próximo
next year,
y poder
and we are going
inaugurarlo,
to
terminarlo
inaugurate it
en el
by
22.
2022.
Es esta obra,
Because it's not just this
la que
one
quedó
work that was
inconclusa.
left inconclusive.
Hay muchas
There
obras
is
más
many more works
en el sector de
in the
comunicaciones,
sector of communications, that is to say,
trenes,
trains
así como este,
like this one.
está el caso del
There's the
el
case
tren
of the train
de la zona conurbada
of this
de
zone
Guadalajara.
of Guadalajara.
Ahí se tomó la decisión
And that one we took the
de
decision
invertir
to invest
adicionalmente
additional
3.500 millones de pesos para
3,500
concluirlo
million
este
pesos
año,
to finish it
en
this year,
diciembre.
in December.
Pero tenemos así carreteras,
But we have
tenemos
roads,
hospitales,
hospitals,
tenemos escuelas
schools,
y
and
estamos dando prioridad
we're giving priority
para que se
to
invierta bien el
invest
presupuesto.
the
Van a
budget
ver
well. And you will see
Obras que
this works.
no van a poder continuarse.
There's going to be
Porque
some that are not going to be able to be
estoy hablando
continued
de
because I'm talking about
Cientos de obras,
hundreds of jobs that were
más
left.
hospitales,
Hospitals,
centros de salud,
health centers,
más de 300
more than 300 were left
inconclusos.
inconcluded.
Y algunos que no debieron.
And some that were not, should not have been initiated.
Acabo de estar
As I was now recently visiting
Oaxaca, en el Istmo,
Oaxaca in the
en
Istmo,
Matías Romero,
in Tía Romero,
y se empezó desde hace
and they started
10
it
años,
about
tampoco
10 years ago,
todo
approximately,
fue
because
del
all of it
sexenio pasado.
was from the last,
Inició un hospital,
they initiated
pero
a
inconcluso,
hospital that also was inconclusive, 80%.
Entonces cuando
So when
plantean esto,
they planned
yo
this,
voy a una gira, vemos un
I'll go to
hospital
a meeting and we see a hospital,
seguro de IMSS
and
Bienestar.
security IMSS
saturado.
Bienestar is saturated.
Entonces
So,
pensábamos que
so
era
we thought
lógico
it was logical
terminar
to finish that
el hospital
hospital
que ya estaba iniciado,
that was
que
already
faltaba
initiated,
el 20%,
that only needed
para
20% to conclude it,
y sumarlo,
and to sum it up
adherirlo
to the
al
ISLO,
hospital
this
del IMSS Bienestar
IMSS
para
Bienestar,
la población que no tiene
for the
seguridad social.
population that does not have.
Pero mandamos a hacer
So we
inspección, la
we
supervisión
sent it to get an inspection from the hospital that was
resulta que ya
inconclusive,
está fracturado,
and it's already
que se
fractured,
hizo
that they made it
en, pues, en una
in an area,
fosa,
in an area that was
se hizo
in a
una
hole,
parte baja,
in a low area,
y no resistió.
and it did
Sobre
not
todo,
resist.
Tuvieron temblores
There was some
y está fracturado. Entonces,
seismic,
ya no es
and now it became,
20% para terminar.
now it's not 20% to finish
Va a
it.
requerir más,
Now it
tenemos
would
que tomar
require
decisión.
more, and we have to make a
Metemos
decision.
dinero.
Do we need to
Bueno,
invest more
malo.
good money on this bad money,
¿Qué hacemos en este
or what do
caso?
we do?
Ampliamos.
So it was kind of damaged by an
Ya se
earthquake.
viene.
And so
Son
do we,
decisiones
so these are decisions that we're working on.
Pero en el caso
But in the
de
case of
el
the
tren
train
Toluca,
of
Ciudad de
Toluca,
México,
the
el
city of
compromiso es
Mexico, the
terminar.
commitment is to finish it.
Ya estamos
And we are
trabajando de
already
manera
working on a coordinated
con
manner
el gobernador
with the
y
governor
con el secretario
and with the
de
Secretary
Comunicaciones y
of
Transportes.
Communications and
Les
Transportation.
informo que
I will
llevamos
inform you that we are
como 3 o 4 reuniones
to 3 to 4 meetings
para ver asuntos
in order to deal
del
with
Estado de
matters
México
with the
y del
state of
gobierno
Mexico and the
federal.
government, federal
Hemos estado
government.
tratando
And we've been trying, dealing with the train
tratando el proyecto
and with the project
de
of Metro
a Chalco.
in Chalco.
Hemos estado tratando lo del
And we have been
aeropuerto
dealing with the
de Toluca.
Toluca,
Hemos estado tratando
and we have been
proyectos para el desarrollo
trying
urbano
to
en municipios
deal with the
con
urban
población
population,
marginal, pobre,
that's the margin
en el Estado de
population
México.
in the state of
Entonces,
Mexico.
Hay muy buena
So of course there is
coordinación
a very good
con el
coordination with the
gobernador del Estado de
governor of Mexico.
¿Les parece?
So if you don't
Una
mind,
más.
one more
Hola,
question.
buenos días. Oiga, perdóneme que
me regrese tantito
So
al
I'm going to
tema de
return
Valle
to
de Bravo.
the thing.
Fíjese que había una base aquí
There
de
was a
operación
base
de
here
la
of
Marina.
operation from the
Nos
Marines
cuentan
that
algunos
we've
empresarios,
been
algunos
told
ciudadanos, que esa base estaba
that this
ayudando a
base
inhibir
was
un poco el delito
helping,
del secuestro y que esa
that was
base
dealing with the
desapareció. No sé si usted tenga los motivos de por qué desapareció esta
kidnapping. And do you
base.
know why this
Si
base was
van a
removed?
volver a tener esta
And if
pequeña
they're going
base
to
de
have this
operación
base of
de la Marina,
operations
que de
from
acuerdo
the
a lo que nos
Marines,
dice la ciudadanía,
that from
pues
what we were
ayuda
told by the
a
people
mejorar el clima de
was
seguridad
helping
en
to,
esta zona. Y si nos puede ampliar un poco la
with the
información
insecurity
de
situation,
cómo, lo que ya
like
anunciaron, de cómo
what
van a
they
estar
announced,
recorriendo
how
las
they're
fuerzas
going to
federales
be
esta parte
sending the
del Estado de
federal
México.
areas.
Miren,
So look,
en efecto se tienen
in effect,
instalaciones.
we do have installations.
Aquí hay
Here, there
esta
are some
región
in this region
demanda de los pobladores.
that was demanded by the
Están
people.
demandando
They are demanding
más protección, más
more
seguridad.
protection, more security
Toda esta región.
in this whole
Y
region.
estamos haciendo la reunión aquí en
And
Valle de Bravo.
we're doing the
Es también
reunion
por
here in
eso.
Valle de Bravo. It's because of that.
Hemos estado
We've been
recorriendo 2 días
traveling 2 days
esta región
for
del
this
Estado de
region
México.
in the state of
Y,
Mexico.
Desde luego están las
And of
instalaciones
course, the installations, the
de la
units
Secretaría
of the
de
Secretary
Marina
of
fueron
Marines
construidas por
were
el gobierno
constructed by the
del Estado
government of the state.
y son instalaciones de la Secretaría de Marina.
And they are
Es un
installations
centro
from the
de
Secretary of
adiestramiento,
Marine. It is
pero ahora,
a
eso es
center
lo más
that
importante,
which
se ha
was
llegado
more it
al
has come
acuerdo
to an
de
agreement
que se va a
that they will
reforzar
be reinforcing
esta instalación
this
con más
area or
elementos.
installation with
Esos
more
son los
units.
pidió la gente,
This
nos
was
pidió también
requested by the
el
people,
gobernador.
and it was also requested by the governor.
Van a apoyar
They will be supporting
elementos de la Secretaría de
this,
Marina,
the elements from the Secretary of the Marine, and they're going to reinforce
las coordinaciones
the
de la Guardia
coordinations
Nacional.
of the
Lo que
National Guard.
queremos
So what we
es que
want
ya no haya
is that there
operativos
no longer be any
sueltos.
operatives that are loose, free
Lo que
roaming.
queremos es que
What
toda
we
la acción
want is that all the action
recaiga
that
en las
come
operaciones de la Guardia Nacional.
in the operation of the National Guard,
Unirnos,
that is
como
to
lo
be
estamos haciendo.
united such as we're doing.
Si cada quien
And if
actúa por su
everyone
cuenta,
acts on their own behalf,
es lo mismo.
that's not the
Estamos
same.
trabajando de manera
So we're
coordinada,
working on a coordinated fashion
Secretaría de Defensa,
from the Secretary of
de
Defense,
Marina, Secretaría de Seguridad
Secretary of
Pública,
Marines, and Secretary of
los gobiernos
Governing.
estatales. Juntos,
And
que
together,
hay dos elementos importantes.
these important
Uno,
elements,
la coordinación plena.
the coordination,
Eso es importantísimo.
this is very important.
Y dos,
And
la
next,
perseverancia.
the perseverance,
Que todos los días
that every day
estamos
we are
atendiendo
attending
el problema de la inseguridad.
the problem of insecurity and violence.
Todos los días,
Every single
desde
day,
muy temprano.
from a very
Las
early
otras
time.
cosas,
And among
por
other
ejemplo,
things,
el que
for
tengamos
example,
más elementos
that we have more
que
units
no se tenían.
that we didn't used to have.
Hay 3,000
Actually,
elementos
there's
de la
3,500
Guardia Nacional del
of the
Estado de México.
National Guard in the state of Mexico.
Van a llegar a ser,
But there's going to be more than 20,000 elements.
más que es un proceso
But it's a
de
process
reclutamiento,
of
de
recruiting,
capacitación. No se
capacitation.
trata de ponerlos a trabajar, a
It's
operar
not a matter of
sin
making
la
them work and
capacitación,
operate without exclusiveness,
necesaria.
with the necessary
Guardia Nacional
the commander of the National Guard has this whole plan of information that is taken forth.
se están capacitando
And we are actually
constantemente.
capacitating
Salen
elements.
grupos y entran otros
And there's always new groups coming in and other ones coming out,
elementos. Entonces,
so that we have all the elements. So the good news is,
Valle de Bravo y para esta
for
región,
Calle de Bravo in this region, is that we're going to reinforce with more elements the coordination,
y se van a utilizar
and we're going to utilize the installations
de Marina.
of the Secretary of Marine.
Ya va a recorrer ahora sí que Valle de Bravo.
So are they going to recover the Playa del Mar? Yes.
¿Qué información
Uh,
tienen?
What information do you have? please.
Buenos días.
Hello.
Sí, en efecto, se va a
Yes, in
reforzar la Guardia
effect,
Nacional.
we're going to
Estamos, para eso
reinforce
estamos
the
aquí.
National
Quiero
Guard,
terminando esta reunión me
and
voy
we're
para allá
finishing this
para
meeting
definir
so
cuál va
that
a
we
ser
can
la
go over
estrategia
there
y
so we
cuándo
can
van a
define
entrar
as
en
to when they're
funcionamiento.
going to
Entonces,
come
estoy de
into
acuerdo con
functioning
el gobernador del estado
according to
para
what
que
the
nos dé
governor of the
un
state,
lugar donde se van a
so he can
ubicar
let us know
para
where they're going to
reforzar
be
la Guardia Nacional.
located so we can start.
Ok, muchísimas
Okay.
gracias.
I think that was the last question. He
más,
said,
porque
okay, now he's saying one more.
para el Estado de México.
One for the
terminemos.
state of Mexico so we
Y
can be
con-
even.
Habla tú.
Okay.
Es que es muy complejo.
It's
pues,
too
así,
complex, you know.
muy difícil.
It's very hard.
comprometedor.
Buenos días a todos, buenos días señor presidente.
So,
Soy
hello.
Antonio Sánchez del diario en línea apocaliptic.com. Preguntarle sobre todo,
I want
además
to
de los
ask
recortes
you
que ha tenido el
regarding
gobierno,
the
su gobierno,
shortages that the government has
a producciones
for
cinematográficas y sobre todo a los
productions of
apoyos del cine
cinematic
mexicano,
and the
y pues previendo que
Mexican
la reforma de la ley
cinematography
impulsada por la Comisión de Cultura
this
encabezada
from the
por Sergio Mayer,
cultural
pues que no
department,
favorece prácticamente a las productoras independientes ni al cine
that
de
it
autor,
doesn't
y
favor
sobre todo los jóvenes cineastas,
independent
pues, como ejemplo, aquí en el
producers
Estado
or
de
youth,
México ya se graduó la primera
like
generación
someone,
de
the
esta
new
licenciatura.
generation
Entonces, mi pregunta
graduated.
iría más
My
que nada,
question
Pere,
is
por
more
cuál es la
for
visión del presidente en
what is
torno
the
al cine
vision for the
mexicano
president
y qué
regarding
tan
the
importante es el
Mexican
cine para su gobierno,
cinematography,
señor presidente.
and what is your
Muy
plan?
importante, como
The
todas
important
las
thing,
artes,
just like any
como
other
toda la
art,
actividad
like every
cultural,
activity that's
y
cultural,
no tengo yo información
and I have no
de que se esté,
information regarding that there be
reduciendo el presupuesto
reducing the budget
destinado a la cultura
that's
y al
destined for
cine.
culture and
Voy, de todas maneras,
cinematography.
a
But
pedir
today I
información,
will ask for that
al
information
respecto.
regarding that.
Queremos
We want
apoyar
to support
todas las actividades
all the
artísticas,
activities that are
lo
artistic.
estamos haciendo,
We're doing it.
estamos haciendo.
We are already doing
Eh,
that.
Y se va
And we
a
are
apoyar más
going to support more
para que se den estímulos.
in order that there be
Tenemos,
stimulus.
La lección que
We
nos
have
han
the
dado
lesson
los
that's been
cineastas
given from the
mexicanos, su destacado
cinematographers,
desempeño
and that they've
en
taken their
el cine mundial
the
y
world,
con muy poco
and
apoyo.
with lots,
Luego
very
de-
little support of the government
Vamos a
intervention.
ir apoyando
And we're
cada
going to
vez más
continue to support every
a,
time more
actores,
for actors,
a promotores
promoters,
culturales, a
cultural,
cineastas.
and
Vamos a seguir haciendo.
and we're going to
Es
continue to
parte
do this. It's
de
part
nuestra
of our
convicción,
convictions,
el apoyo a la cultura.
our support to
Como
culture.
también aprovecho
Just as I am now
para
taking the opportunity to say
se está apoyando y se va a apoyar
that we're
mucho
supporting
más
and
al
will
deporte.
continue to support much more sports.
Ahora,
And now,
desempeño de la delegación
the delegation
de México
from
en los
Mexico
Juegos Panamericanos
in the Pan American
sido
Games
extraordinaria.
has been extraordinary.
De acuerdo al medallero,
According to the medals,
20
there has been
medallas de oro
20
hasta
golden
ahora,
medals as of now,
muy buen lugar.
which is a very good place.
Y vamos
And we are
a darles una muy buena sorpresa.
going to give them a very
Ahora
good
que van a
surprise
regresar,
when they return.
mañana voy a hablar
Tomorrow I will
un poco
talk
sobre este
also
tema.
regarding this matter.
Adelanto
And I'm letting you know in advance
se les van a
that
otorgar
we are
a todos
going
los
to
participantes
give to all the participants
estímulos,
a stimulus,
becas,
grants
al regreso.
on their return.
Nada más
But
que
just that
también va a ser
there's also going to be
en función
a function
de el desempeño.
of actually getting it
Todos
done.
van a tener
Everyone
apoyo.
will have
Todos.
support. All they have to do is actually
Todos los que
go.
integran la delegación.
All of them that are
el
involved in that.
compromiso.
That's my commitment.
Todos.
All of them.
Y
And
trato especial
special treatment
a los
for those
que están obteniendo medallas.
that are getting medals.
y los que están logrando
and those that gained
su pase a las Olimpiadas.
their the ones that are going into the Olympics.
Mañana voy
So tomorrow I'm going
a dar a conocer
to let you know
de dónde
where
van a salir estos fondos.
these funds are coming from.
Y apenas regresen,
And when they
se
return,
les van a entregar
we will give
los
them to them,
apoyos.
these supports.
No va a haber trámite burocrático.
There won't be
Le
any
vamos a procurar
bureaucratic
entregar los apoyos
situation. We're going to give them
Cuando
the
menos
money. At the very least,
hasta la Olimpiada de Japón,
from the Olympian of
poco más
Japan,
de un año,
more than a year
por adelantado,
in advance.
para que no haya intermediarios,
So there won't be any intermediaries.
de manera directa,
A direct
como
manner.
se están entregando
Just like we are
todos los
giving
apoyos al
all
pueblo,
the supports to the people
para que lleguen completos,
so they get their
que no
funds
haya
complete,
moche,
so there won't
o
be any
piquete de ojos.
cuts or people taking their piece of their
Directo.
money.
En
It
este
will
caso,
be direct
hay
in
toda
this
una
case.
reglamentación
But there is some regulation
que se mantiene
that is
vigente,
maintained that
donde hay estímulos.
there's
hay
a
becas.
stimulus and
Pero
grants.
este es algo
But this is separate.
especial.
This is a
Es
special,
un programa
it's a program,
especial
a
del
special
gobierno de la
program from the
República
government of the Republic
a los deportistas
for
que
these
nos están
sports people that are representing
ahora
us
en Perú,
now in
en los
Peru
Panamericanos.
in the Pan American
Entonces,
Games.
Mañana
So
voy a hablar
tomorrow I'm going
de
to
la fuente de
speak
financiamiento,
with the
de
financial
cuánto va a
fund
implicar
and how much it's going to
y
imply
cómo
and how,
apenas
as of
regresen
they return
el domingo, el
on
lunes,
Sunday or
en 8
Monday,
días,
8 days,
van a tener ya
they will already have
sus recursos,
their funds,
no administrados ni
not
siquiera
administrated,
mensualmente,
not even mentally,
sino
monthly,
cuando menos un
but
año
at least for a year's worth,
que les permita
that it will permit them
seguir
to continue
entrenando,
training,
aplicándose, porque
applying themselves,
ahora,
because
como en el
now,
caso de,
like in
del
the case
cine y
of
de
the
los artistas,
art and cinematography,
todo está recayendo
everything is
en su
falling
esfuerzo,
on their
el
effort,
esfuerzo que hacen en lo
on
personal,
the
en
personal
el caso
effort
del
they're
deporte,
making.
el
And in the
esfuerzo de
case
las
of
familias
sports
que
and
les
families
ayudan.
that help them. Oh,
Bueno,
so
ahí
there
está
it is.
el
There's the
medallero.
results, the medals.
Hemos estado siempre arriba.
We have always been on the high
Apenas
area.
2 días
It's been about 2 days.
bajamos
We've
en oro,
lowered in order,
pero
but
faltan
but
otras
there's more
competencias.
competitions,
Y yo espero
and I expect
que sigamos
that we will continue
avanzando.
to advance.
Miren qué labor tan
Look what
destacada hasta
a
hoy.
special
Falta esta
effort
semana.
that they've done this week.
Échenle ganas, ánimo.
Keep trying, keep
Arriba
working
México.
on it. Arriba
Y viva
Mexico.
México.
And
Y
long
muchas
live
gracias
Mexico. And
a
thank you
todas y a
very
todos.
much to all of you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you all.
Mañana seguimos hablando.
Tomorrow we'll
Muchas
continue to
gracias.
talk.
Gracias.
Thank you very much. All right, you guys. So, yes, I put up a video today regarding